My birthday dinner was supposed to be simple, just a small family gathering at a nice restaurant downtown. My parents, my sister Olivia, a few relatives, and me. Nothing fancy. At least, that's what my parents thought. The truth was, I had chosen that restaurant very carefully. Growing up, my sister Olivia had always been the perfect one. Perfect grades, perfect career, perfect life. After college, she joined a prestigious law firm, married a successful investment banker, and moved into a luxury condo in the city. My parents couldn't stop talking about how proud they were of her. Meanwhile, my life looked very different. Instead of following the traditional path they expected, I started a small business when I was 24. At the beginning, it was rough. Long hours, unstable income, and constant pressure. My family hated it. You're wasting your potential, my father told me more than once. Olivia was even more direct. Running a little business isn't impressive, she said once during a family dinner. Anyone can do that. The jokes never really stopped. Every holiday someone would ask when I planned to get a real job. Eventually, I stopped explaining what I was doing, because the truth was my business was doing just fine. Actually, much better than they assumed. But my family never asked enough questions to find out. So when my birthday came around, I invited them all to dinner. The restaurant I chose was one of the most exclusive places in the city. White marble floors, crystal chandeliers, and private dining rooms. When my parents walked in, they looked amazed. "This place must be expensive," my mother whispered. Olivia looked around with a skeptical smile. "Let's hope you didn't spend all your savings on one dinner," she said. I simply smiled. Dinner started normally enough. Food arrived. Drinks were poured. Conversations drifted from work to vacations to family gossip. Then halfway through the meal, Olivia suddenly raised her glass. "I'd like to say something," she announced. Everyone turned toward her. She looked directly at me. Then she said the sentence that made the entire table go silent. "Our family is honestly ashamed that you still use our last name." The table went completely silent. For a moment, nobody moved. My mother looked shocked, but she didn't interrupt. My father simply stared at his plate. Olivia leaned back in her chair, clearly satisfied with what she had just said. "You've spent years embarrassing this family," she continued. "That little business of yours, the way you live, it's not exactly something we're proud of." A few relatives shifted uncomfortably in their seats. I slowly set my fork down on the table. "Interesting," I said calmly. Olivia frowned slightly. "What's interesting?" "That you think you understand my life." She crossed her arms. "Well, do you expect us to believe your small company is some kind of big success story?" I didn't answer right away. Instead, I looked around the room. Everyone was watching, waiting. "You know," I said slowly, "there's a reason I chose this restaurant tonight." Olivia gave a small sarcastic laugh. "Oh, really?" "Yes." My father finally looked up. "What reason?" Before I could answer, the restaurant manager suddenly approached our table. He stopped beside me and spoke politely. "Excuse me, sir," he said. "I wanted to confirm everything is ready upstairs for the birthday presentation." The table went quiet again. Olivia frowned. "Presentation?" The manager nodded respectfully toward me. "The private lounge is prepared exactly as you requested." My mother looked confused. "What lounge?" The manager seemed surprised. "You didn't tell them?" I smiled slightly. "Not yet." The manager hesitated before speaking again. "Would you like me to bring the documents now, sir?" Olivia looked even more confused. "Documents?" My father frowned. "What documents?" The manager nodded and left the table. A minute later, he returned carrying a thin leather folder. He placed it in front of me. Olivia rolled her eyes. "Seriously, what is this?" I opened the folder slowly. Inside were several contracts and a property ownership certificate. Then I slid one page across the table, directly toward Olivia. "This," I said calmly, "is the reason I picked this restaurant." Olivia glanced down at the document. At first, she didn't react. Then her expression changed. "What is this?" she asked quietly. My father leaned forward to read it too, and when he saw the title at the top of the page, his face suddenly went pale, because the document clearly showed something none of them expected. The restaurant we were sitting in was owned by my company. For a few seconds, nobody spoke. Olivia stared at the document like she was trying to figure out if it was some kind of joke. "This isn't real," she said finally. "It is," I replied calmly. My father leaned closer to read the page again. The ownership certificate clearly showed the name of my company at the top, and my name listed as the primary owner. "You bought this restaurant?" he asked slowly. "Not just this one," I said. The manager standing beside the table nodded politely. "Our company owns this location and 2 others in the city," he added. My mother's eyes widened. "2 others?" I closed the folder and leaned back in my chair. "My little business expanded a few years ago," I explained. "We moved into hospitality and property investments." Olivia shook her head. "That's impossible." "Why?" I asked. "Because you never said anything about it." I shrugged slightly. "You never asked." The table went quiet again. Some of our relatives were now looking around the restaurant in a completely different way. Suddenly, the expensive decor, the private room, and the personal attention from the staff made more sense. My father cleared his throat. "So, this dinner?" "Yes," I said. "You paid for everything." "Actually," the manager said politely, "tonight's dinner is hosted by the owner." Olivia looked embarrassed now. Just a few minutes earlier, she had been lecturing me about embarrassing the family. Now the entire dinner had been paid for by the business she mocked. She slowly set the document back on the table. "I didn't know," she said quietly. "I know," I replied. My mother looked at me carefully. "Why didn't you ever tell us how successful your company became?" I thought about that question for a moment. Then I gave the honest answer. Because every time I tried to talk about my work, someone made a joke about my small business. No one at the table had a response to that. Finally, Olivia spoke again. Her voice was much softer now. "I didn't mean what I said earlier." I looked at her calmly. "You said the family was ashamed that I use our last name." She lowered her eyes slightly. "Well, that's not true." I smiled faintly. "Good." Then I picked up my glass and raised it slightly, because after tonight, I paused for a moment. Our last name is also the name on the front of this restaurant. That birthday, dinner changed the way my family saw me. Not because of the restaurant, not because of the money, but because they finally realized something important. For years, they judged success by titles, appearances, and assumptions. Meanwhile, the person they looked down on had been quietly building something real, something lasting. Sometimes the people who doubt you the most are simply the ones who never took the time to understand you. And sometimes the best response to disrespect is success that speaks for itself.